All right, hopefully we are live. Hello everyone, welcome. In this live, I'd like to talk about something I'm seeing repeatedly in Compose code that we need to be paying more attention to. And so I want to bring awareness to it so we end up with more optimal code. For this purpose, I'm going to use a code base that belongs to a member inside my mentorship program that we're using for learning purposes. And this member has allowed me to use this code base in this stream. So big shout out, big thanks to him for that. And now let's actually get started and take a look into what we're going to be doing. So here I have the code base, and basically let me show you exactly what we are going to be focusing. So this is the page, and here on top we have this toolbar that basically when we start scrolling, it changes, it animates back and forth, and also some icons and some of the text changes, and the search icon is also the visibility changes. So let's take a look into this component and observe a little bit, figure out what is going on. So here, first thing that we are seeing is that here we are taking bunch of arguments and something doesn't click well. Basically, first of all, the formatting is not correct. Let me format the code first. And then even though I have formatted, it left this argument as a additional in the same line. So especially when we are working with composable functions, having each argument in a separate line is important so that it is not gonna get confusing when somebody's reading the code, and especially in a code review setup, it's gonna be much easier to understand what's going on. Now, what additionally here is happening is that we are taking lazy list state in a news up bar. So the question is, why would we need lazy list state in news up bar? Now, thinking of reusability, this feels a little bit odd, but one may argue, okay, it is nullable, so we can basically not pass, or we can pass null. We can even default it to null. The thing is, when thinking about reusability or like making composable functions that we want to reuse, depending less on things that are, I mean, the less we depend on things like sort of that are unrelated, the better we are. And what we could do in this case is we can eliminate this lazy state, because if we take a look, what is it being used for is to figure out whether we are on the top of the list or not. Basically, this is full up bar is a derived state from if we are on the top of the list or not. The first visible item scroll offset if it's 0. And this is a nice optimization that that is happening here, so that we are not going to have many recompositions as the value changes, because as you can imagine, when you're scrolling, the scroll, basically this offset changes a lot. And in that sense, the value can change a lot, but using the right state of will make sure that only if the value is changed accordingly, it is going to make a change to this value. So let's actually demonstrate what I'm trying to say here. If I do a launched effect based on this is full up bar, then I'm gonna print is full width. Then I'm gonna print it, and let me run. So we're gonna see that this is not gonna be changing as often as I'm scrolling. Let's open a logcat. So if I start scrolling, it changes once. And when I go back, it again changes like from true to false. So it is not going to do more than what is expected to do. But if I don't have this derived state of, this changes a lot. Like this we are gonna see just in a bit. So we use it there. And what else? Well, just to create this value, and then this value is being used afterwards in few places. Now, how we are going to get rid of this? To improve the API of the news app bar and make it less depending on things that don't feel like it needs to depend. Well, we can take this Boolean value, and bear with me, this is a little bit of a trap, but what I can do is here I can say, I can take this as a Boolean, and then I can eliminate this one. And on the call side, now I have an issue. It is being called here. And I have to provide that value. So is full is going to be, as we can see here, this we are having pretty much the same statement that we have commented out. The difference is that here we are saying the first visible item scroll offset is equal to 0. Here it is greater than 0. So if we use this value, or basically we can leverage that value, we can say different than is scrolled. I can keep passing this for now so that I don't break the API. And here, basically, it always in the details, it is always full width. There is no animation, no nothing. So we can say is, because we are passing null here, is full up bar width. We can say true. So it can remain true. And now if I run, we are going to end up with the same behavior. Exactly. And recomposition wise, we are also good because here we have that optimization with deriving the state for scrolling. However, the problem is, well, let's actually finish what we actually had here. So I'm going to do save delete. This is going to remove on the call side, the argument that is being passed because it is no longer used. And then Android Studio will do that refactoring for me and I don't have to go manually change. And that should still work. So far, so good. Now, back to my caller side. The problem is that because I am planning to make this as a reusable function, if this is full width up bar is a property that changes a lot from true to false, or if it depends on something that changes a lot, I am going to end up with a trouble, and that trouble being causing a lot of recompositions. So the first point that I want to make with this stream is that I want to bring awareness is to, like, depending on when you are working on like reusable composables, pay attention on how likely something that you're taking could be changing, and if you can make it in a way that you sort of defend yourself to offload the reading, so that you make this more optimal. And I'm gonna talk about it, what I mean by that. So doing this is not a problem because the caller will have to take care of it, but maybe we can do something even more to make this even better in terms of like reusability and optimization. And let's take a look what is that. But why is this okay still? It is because Compose, since recently, has also built-in optimizations. So even if I try to do something that is not supposed to be there, it's still gonna work. So for example, if I take this value that changes a lot, and if I put it here, and if I instead say equals equals, so is full when I'm on top. So Android Studio highlights this and says frequently changing state should not be directly read in composable function. And even if that is not taken seriously, and if I run this, it's still going to do that optimization for me because the compiler is smart enough to not introduce that performance penalty. So what I mean is, like, if I take a look in the recompositions here, let's give it a little bit of time. Hopefully it will attach. Yeah. So let's pay attention on the news up bar here. So if I expand top up bar, and then we have these additional composables inside. So when I start scrolling, it causes lots of recompositions, but also it skips. As you can see, the right column here is like how many times it is skipping. So it is skipping also the same amount of time. And it only like recomposes when the scrolling for the root. It calls the root, but it skips a bunch of things inside. So it is not going to hit us performance-wise as much as it would without that compiler optimizations that are actually introduced since recently in Compose. So what would be better is to do this derived state as it used to be. So this is quite a good optimization. But what, like, back to the story that we started, what if I want to make my composable, like if I want to defend from the perspective of this API here? What I can do is I can derive the read by, instead of getting Boolean here, I can take a lambda that yields a Boolean. So in that case here, I am going to call that as a function, and everywhere else where it is being used. And then on the call side, I'll just have to wrap this in a lambda. And now, even if I use this here, I'm good to go. That's what I meant by, when you are building reusable composables, pay attention on which things that you are taking might be depending on something that changes a lot, and maybe you can do that additional optimization on your side from the API perspective. So let's change it here as well. So this would be true. And if I run, everything should be okay. And that being said, we can also take a look a little bit into how we can do some animations or improve these animations. So that's working fine. Here, we are taking this one, and based on that, we are changing the slice on the bottom right. Basically, when this collapses, this cut here on the bottom right corner, that's the thing that is being done with this shape. We can animate this value. And to do so, we can do something like, because this is float, we can say cut value by animate float state as, and here as a target, we are going to do, we are going to check if we are going to call is full width up bar, then it's going to be 0, else it's going to be 40. And additionally, so this is going to work. I just have to import. This is going to work, but we can also change the animation. We can say something like animation spec is going to be, I think by default it is spring. We can do tween. We can increase the duration to, let's say, I don't know, 700 milliseconds. And we can also add some easing, fast out, slow in easing. And we can use that value now. Here, instead of doing this if, we could apply the cut value. And in fact, I can bring this into single line. Or even better, if I add named arguments, then it's gonna be nicer like that. And let's run and see what happens. Now we should be able to see that cutting of that edge animated. As you can see, I don't know how visible it is on the stream, but it is super nice. Maybe 700 is too much. Maybe we can reduce it to 500 and give it a try, so it's gonna be more natural, like, or faster a little bit. Yeah, so that looks nicer. And another thing that we can do, because there is glitch between this N and when I scroll till the end, because this front page doesn't fit initially, we can put that into max lines 1. That would improve a little bit, just a little bit, that single thingy that's being animated. Yeah, it doesn't jump as much. Alrighty, cool. And we have pretty much similar situation here. We have this is scrolled that is being used to animate the width and the like expanding and collapsing of the entire bar. And we could also add here animation specs, which is going to be tween. And here we are only going to easing, and that would improve the animation a little bit more. Yep. All right. So that's basically everything that I had planned for this stream. And would be nice if there are any questions for the people on YouTube. You can ask them directly in the stream, in the comments. And that would be it. Yeah, for now. I don't have anything more than this. Cool. Okay, if there are any other questions, like, because there is none so far, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'm gonna make sure to make additional stream or additional video, and I'll upload it on my YouTube channel, so that we are going to, I mean, it's gonna answer those questions. So thanks a lot for the time and the attention, and I'll catch you next week in additional stream. Cheers.